and consider the impact of moving around, and revisit it regularly over the next few weeks. Now, one little thing that I would say here is be honest, but it can have a big impact. So really think through your stages. When I first came across this tool, I was on a course and I was working with a woman who was telling us that she had the perfect life, the perfect family life, and she was talking about how she loves her job, she loves her part-time work, etc. And she was saying how much her kids give to her. She had 2 older kids, adult kids, that were working, and they still lived with her, and how wonderful this was. And the tutor said to us, as we were doing the activity, he said, "You're not going to share this with anyone." And suddenly she started changing her whole map. And at the end of the course, she told us what had happened. And she said she wasn't looking deeply enough. And when she realized that she was going to be honest, and this was only about herself, she started to think that everyone takes her for granted. Her kids use the place like a hotel. She never sees her husband. She's doing all the cleaning, all the cooking, and having a job. She's not having time to see her friends. She was doing this English language teaching course, but she didn't know when she was going to use it. Anyway, by the end of the course, with this reflective tool, she decided to apply for a job in Turkey, and she went and worked there for a few months and left her kids and her husband to go on with things. So my message there is be careful, be honest, but think about the implications. I don't want any of you to be disrupting your lives too much with this. But what it achieves, back to the professional. It allows us time to reflect and assess where we are professionally. It allows you to focus and to prioritize. It allows you to consider when to say yes to things and when you need to say no, when you're doing too much, and how you might be able to change that. And it also shows you where you might be able to integrate small changes, bite-sized pieces to help you to develop professionally. So, now that we know about ourselves, we've seen a holistic view, we know what we're achieving, we know how to set our goals. But really the practicalities, professional development, what is out there for us? What can we access that's not time consuming, that's enjoyable, and it's not expensive? And I have here a list of things that I see as being available. I'll run through these quickly, but again, in the question and answer or via email, if you prefer to contact me later, I'm happy to expand on any of these because there's quite a lot of information. So what's available? Local CPD groups, what you're doing just now, of course, amazing, giving up your time to coming along to attend a webinar. Idea sharing, start one, make this simple, doesn't need to be some big project, just sharing ideas with a colleague, with a couple of colleagues. Just do it over a coffee, it doesn't need to be, as I say, titled, named as a CPD group. In-house CPD sessions, short and sweet. I'm a strong believer in doing things in 15-minute, 20-minute blocks. Again, we're very busy, and I'm sure you're busier than ever now. So what about a 15-minute once a month, a 15-minute once a fortnight CPD session? You can lead it. It can be a talking session. It can be reading something and then sharing and experimenting. If these aren't happening in your schools at the moment, then why not start them? Self-observation. I'm sure we're familiar with being observed, but it's often for quality control purposes. Observe yourself, and that can be videoing yourself. It can be just putting on your microphone, putting on your recorder on your phone. It can be listening to specific parts of your lesson, not the whole lesson. You don't need to listen or observe the whole lesson. But with self-observation, it's a very good practice to do a lesson plan as if an observer is coming into the class. You then deliver the lesson, make notes on the lesson plan as to how you feel things are going, and then after the lesson, don't leave your classroom unless another class is coming in, but find a quiet place for 10 minutes. 10 minutes is all you need. to go through your lesson plan and go look at stage by stage, how do you feel it went? So be a critical observer in the absence of an outside person. Pop in observations to see a variety of different lessons. Again, if that's not happening in your school, can you arrange it? Can you ask people to come in? Can you go in for 10 minutes? Pop in observation. You just need to see 10 minutes to get a feel for the style of lesson, the style of the teaching, etc. In our school, we have a series for new teachers or for teachers looking to learn about new courses. You can do in an afternoon, 5-10 minute pop-in observations, just to get a sense of how something is going, how something is run. I know for timetabling reasons that can be difficult, but again, if you've got a good relationship with some of your peers, ask if they could record 10 minutes of the lesson. We're online an awful lot of the time now. It's very easy to record these lessons. Can we share these best practices? And this does give a feel-good factor. Once we get over our fear of being observed, this is about developmental observation, self-observation and pop-in observation. It's developmental observation with no threat, no judgment. Reflecting, of course, we're keeping a lesson journal or just writing down little lesson notes like on post-its. It doesn't need to be as elaborate. It can be manageable. Writing down little post-it notes to yourself, writing down, as I mentioned, on your lesson plan, how you feel that stage went, how you might do it better, and then taking time to reflect. But reflection is only useful if you then think about how you want to act on it, what you might do differently, how you might be able to make it better the next time, for example, if there is room for development. Experimental day once a week. Try something out of your comfort zone. It can be a little thing. Tell people about it. Get ideas. I'm sure you all work with people where you feel that their teaching style and their teaching activities and their teaching methods are quite different to your own. Talk to that person. Get a little insight into an activity that they might do and try it out for yourself out of your comfort zone, and then again reflect. And from that might come a mentor or a buddy, someone that you feel comfortable to talk to, again, with no judgment. Project work. Put yourself forward for project work in your school that might move you into a different area rather than just your usual timetable. If that's a possibility. I'm aware that everyone's situation is very different professionally. But again, in your organisation, volunteer to move out of your comfort zone. If you, for example, if you only normally teach general English, then why not request to teach academic English, to learn about IELTS teaching, to look at English for specific purposes, possibly to do some course design, ask for guidance on that if you don't do that already. So moving out of your comfort zone without adding extra work to yourself. The extra work would be integrated, small and manageable. We're trying to replace one thing with another here. Reading, listening to podcasts, watching webinars, there's so much out there at the moment. And again, sharing this with your colleagues, finding out what's good, what's recommended, because sometimes there's too much out there that it can be overwhelming. So online support, blogs, conferences, and publisher sites have loads of different ideas, loads of lesson plans, exam sites. I'm a big fan of the British Council website. I think they produce an awful lot of information, and it sounds like IH is also doing an awful lot internally. So again, I'm just asking you here, which of these appeal to you? If you could just take a minute, again, to look out the window, to stand up and stretch for a second, and to think which of these appeal to you? How might you approach them? How might you adapt them? How would they work for your situation and implement them into your busy life? So what would appeal to you and how would you change these? Again, it's just a minute to reflect. If you would like to put something into the chat box, please do. But if not, just look out the window and take a minute to yourself. Okay, I shall move on again there. One thing that I would say here in reflecting is, I don't know if you're like me, but I get so enthusiastic and excited sometimes. Less is more. Don't take on too much. Think of one or two little things. Remember, going back to the smarter goals. Choose manageable projects, manageable, small, integrated, practical things that will not have a stressful impact on your workload. I think that's very important. You're breaking it down, you're looking at small achievements, small goals that can be integrated. So far, what have we done? Looked at CPD, why we develop, looking at our achievements, importance of reflection, setting goals, and what is available to us. I want to just very quickly say something about structure here, because we're looking at our professional development. And I think if we hang this on structure, giving ourselves time limits, again, I keep saying this, manageable bites, the way we teach our language to our students, apply that to our development as well. And again, as I mentioned, the site that I'm a fan of is the British Council CPD Framework. If you just Google British Council CPD Framework, then it will come up with a lot of guidance for teachers, guidance for managers. There's a framework for professional development where you can identify what stage you're at, and within that stage, it gives you pointers about how you could maybe develop and do something that's interesting for you. There's also a portal with advice and suggestions, video clips, webinars. If you're enjoying what I'm talking about now as well, please do just Google British Council Fiona Dunlop, and you will find a couple of my webinars on there, on developing teachers. Developmental observations is a real interest of mine. There's a webinar on the British Council site about that. So I'm just coming to the end soon now. So just to kind of sum up some basic practical hints on how to access and implement CPD into our busy working lives. So again, really in this kind of time, build an online network. Be selective. There's a lot of variety and things available. Know what you're interested in. And that will come from reflecting on your achievements, taking a holistic approach, looking at that reflective tool that I outlined. Also, what will be useful for your students, because we mustn't forget them in all of this. You know, I did say this hour is about us, it's about taking time for us, but making sure that it does tie in with our students' needs. What will move you forward in small steps? If we set too big a move forward, then we won't get there. We need to break it down. Build it into what you already do. Give it a structure. Don't see it as a separate thing. It's not an add-on. So you want to integrate it, you want to enjoy it. It needs to meet your interests. Set yourself a goal. I believe, not everyone believes this actually, but I think for me what works is to tell people. I feel if I tell people something that I'm going to do, then there's more chance that I'll do it, because I'll be embarrassed to say that I'm not achieving it. Be realistic, but don't sit still. Really, less is more. And when we talk about continuing professional development, it does not mean that you need to develop every single minute, every single day. Know when to just sit back and enjoy doing what you're doing. So really that's about reflecting and knowing yourself. And so providing time for reflection, recognize your achievements, and very important, praise yourself. As I said, this is about us, it's about taking time for ourselves. And we're doing such a lot. I think as teachers, as English language teachers, we are so skilled and we do not give ourselves credit for that. So I think learning to appreciate what we actually do. Work with somebody. Sometimes I think it helps to have a buddy, to have someone to bounce ideas off of. Might be someone who's in your school, but it could be someone online. We've got a lot of people online just now. If you know each other vaguely, get in touch, give each other an email, pick up the phone. It doesn't need to be someone that you're in close contact with. Lead by your own example, so self-motivate. And again, that comes by reflecting and praising yourself and pushing yourself forward from there. And choosing things that are interesting for you. And finally, there's so much out there. So enroll in a short online course, become a student, remember what it's like to be on the other side. I see in the chat box some people are talking about CELTAs and DELTAs, you know, great move. There are so many small courses out there as well. I think someone also mentioned technology. I know that Trinity have just launched a self-study teaching with technology modular course that you can sign up to. You know, there's lots out there. And just as I come to the end, all of these ideas can be transferred to the classroom. It's what we do with our students. It's what's relevant to our students. So just to say, you know, to recap here, goal setting, individual learning outcomes. We do this with our students. Really give it a name for them. Let them see, give them these tools and give them these tools actively. Don't hide it, make it overt that we're giving them goal setting tools, individual learning outcomes. We're producing autonomous learners, and in ourselves, we're producing autonomous teacher developers. Reflection, again, we do this in our classroom. Give it a label, give it a name, get students familiar with this in terms of the tutorials that we do, the one-to-one meetings, the advice that we give them, the review slots that we have to find out what they've learned, what has been useful for them, make it personal for the students, make it interesting for the students, encourage them to identify what is working for them, what they've achieved, and setting their goals. Encouraging reflective learning journals in your class, setting up buddy systems. All of this is relevant to the classroom and can be implemented for our learners. And it is something that I think we're doing day in, day out. Very often it's covert, not overt, so it's not obvious to the students. Bring it to the students' attention, really equip them to continue as lifelong learners without the need for the teacher at some point. You can release them free after their courses with these tools. And that's what I'm inviting you to do as well here with this, to take these tools that I'm giving to you, think what would work for you? How might you adapt some of these in your busy lives as teachers, as academic managers, to make sure that you're feeling motivated, you're moving on with your career, you're enjoying your career. As I said at some point, we're not doing this for the money, are we? We're not going to be rich and famous. So let's really enjoy and feel rewarded and motivate ourselves. And then I come back to finally say, embracing professional development helps us to find our professional happy place. So with that, everyone, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening. It is time. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and ask if there are questions.
Thank you very much, Fiona. As I said, whenever I attend a session on professional development with you, I feel there is always hope. And I mean, I honestly speaking, if you remember when I last attended with the IATFL SIG, I just felt there is a lot out there that we can do. We need to start, even if we start small, as you said. And I mean, knowing all what we're going through, we shouldn't be pushing ourselves to the limit. Just start very small and it will grow eventually. So thank you very much for this talk. We do have one question up till everyone else starts writing more. We had one question on the website. I'm going to put it in the chat box for you. So this question, let me tell you, it's I don't have the name, but I'm sure the person will know. So if you can help us answer this question.
I can see here, it's from Paula. So if you're a freelance English language teacher, alternatives to pop in what's available list for a freelancer. Yes, I mean, Paula, I really do appreciate that being freelance is trickier. what I would say is that it is a community out there. It's about tapping into it. And I think, you know, we have several people on the line at the moment, some of whom will be freelancers. I think we need to, I can be quite shy, believe it or not. I think sometimes professionally get over our shyness and reach out to people to set our own small communities. We don't all need to be working in the same field. We don't all need to be working in the same organization to share reflective practices, to share even observations. So, I mean, Paul, I can see, you know, we've got, as I say, a lot of people here today. I don't know if there's any way that people can communicate, can share emails, can offer to do little 10-minute observations. Possibly that could be a goal for December. To arrange to come and observe a class online, 10 minutes. So I think it's about reaching out and finding a community that works for you if you're not in a school environment. I know that, for example, in my school, I carry out classroom observations on other languages. It's still really interesting for me. It's still, I hope, helpful for the teachers. I don't speak Spanish, I don't speak German, but I can still go into the classroom and I can still recognize good practice. So I think, you know, being able to observe, if you've got friends, if you've got peers in other schools, ask them if you can just sit in the classroom, virtually or in person, 10 minutes at a time, 15 minutes at a time, no judgment, you just want to learn from it. What I would also say is the world is a smaller place now. I mean, I'm here this morning talking to you know, an audience all over the world. I've been in various conferences this year. Next week I'm in Vietnam. I was in Pakistan a few weeks ago, and I'm doing it all from my bedroom. You know, I think the world is a smaller place. I would be more than happy, Paula, I'm inviting anyone, get in touch if you want to observe a couple of our online classes that are going on at Wimbledon School of English. And I'm sure that could be extended to many schools across the world. If I got an email in my inbox tomorrow to say from a stranger emails me from nowhere and says, could I see 10 minutes of a class? I'm a teacher in another country. Of course, I'm going to say yes. So I think it's about being proactive there and reaching out.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, Marlar. She had to leave. Okay. So other questions for Fiona? It's a great opportunity. So please, if you have a question, you can either put it in the chat box or on the link I've shared earlier.
I think one of the areas, just to go back while we're waiting, I think it's really just to stress, try that reflective tool, everyone, and try to reflect on your achievements today. I mean, what a huge achievement to give up an hour of your time. I know Sunday is a working day for some and a weekend day for others. And, you know, you've all given up an hour of your time. So an achievement in itself, really.
Yes, definitely. Yes, you're right. I totally agree on that. A lot of people who are from the neighborhood are taking this hour out of their lunchtime or from their break to attend. So thank you very much. Vera, do you have a question? I have a question. Okay, thank you very much, Fiona. Thank you very much. We loved having you here on a Sunday morning. It's very sunny and bright here in Egypt, so it matches the positivity you've been trying to spread. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for attending. You should be receiving your certificates within the next few days. See you next week with how to write SMART objectives. So today Fiona talked about smarter goals. And next week we're going to be talking on Sunday 11 a.m. on how to write SMART objectives. Thank you very much and have a good day. Thank you very much, Fiona.
Thank you everyone. So bye-bye.
Thank you everyone. Ahmed. Thank you very much, Ahmed, and everyone who has been attending, Shahir, Eunice, Vera, Sophie, thank you very much, everyone.
See you later. Take care, everyone.